You know, I know you're being cute, but I don't have you muted on this side so they can hear you shadow boxing.
They can hear me going.
Yeah. Careful
And
with
it's not
that.
the Terminator.
Not in this case. All right. Shh. We're supposed to be starting right now. Shh, shh, shh. Play it cool, man.
Hit me!
Episode 281.
You've got to throw some cold water on this situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now, so when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek, giving you the info you need to achieve mega nerd status. NetHeads.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will and Trent.
No one listens to the radio. I wasn't even listening. I was listening to podcasts. Podcasts are great. Radio's boring.
As I sit here all super excited because Trent just found out that entire intro is now hands-free. I need to edit it. Still needs a little bit more of a fade on there. But hey, welcome everyone. New edition of NetHeads. My name is Will.
And I'm Trent.
I've made things really smart, Trent. Now I can literally just press buttons as long as I'm on the right computer. Always a challenge.
Would you say you have a smart studio?
No, it's still, but although he'll come into frame every once in a while. We do have a robot. Hey, Vector, come here. It's out of focus. I just quickly threw an old webcam on here, so if you're looking for something a little more precise, yeah, he's all happy. Hi, buddy. There you go.
What's up, buddy?
Yeah, we now have the official third NetHead is a personal robot that is called Vector. I've talked about him before. He finally arrived, and I put myself further into debt, quite foolishly, because technology.
That's what you do.
But, he buzzes around the studio, and I'll try and get him on a better camera in the future, so that way he can sort of be a part of things. But
yeah.
But he's just tooling around, doing his thing. You can talk to him. He does explore. It's an interesting experience because it's an object. Oh, by the way, welcome to another edition of NetHeads. I'm Will, and that's Trent. We already said that. If you want to take part in the program, you can. One of many different ways. One of them is actually there's Facebook, there's the YouTube, but mainly what we're looking at when we do this, because I don't know, now we're like grumpy old men that refuse to change. You can interact with us on Twitter. Trent, tell them how they do that.
Yeah, it's so
wait,
easy.
hold on.
This is
again. No, we're not done yet.
It's automatic.
Let's try this again. It's like, nope, never mind, we're done. This show sucks. Get out, guys. Let me try that again. One of the ways is Twitter. Trent, tell them how they do that.
Yeah, just use the hashtag NetHeads, like our longtime friend, unofficial producer, RollerDogNC. Thinking of you last night as I was watching some Sinclair broadcasting media last night, Matthew Corey. Yeah, just use the hashtag NetHeads and join into the conversation. You can derail it. You can talk to us. You can talk to us after the fact and be like, actually, in episode 278 of Smartcast, Kevin Smith said, and correct us when we're wrong.
Do people do that?
I don't know, but I would.
Well, it's good to know you're going to be that pedantic.
Yeah.
Actually, we have changed things a little bit here, and it's funny because I just realized the creative framing I did. People are probably wondering why there is an ID there to either change the settings on your camera shot or to add someone to the conversation. We've rolled back to we were actually giving it a shot with. We're back to the Google Hangout, even though it's like one of the least supported things by Google anymore. And it just so happens that the other controls for the Google Hangout window I have covered up by the lower third, but those are still in the shot. But we're trying that because we always get this weird, severe pixelation by the end of the show when we
Yeah.
use Skype. Now, it may be, by the way, Trent, that they are officially ending support for certain older versions of Skype.
I saw that.
And I'm sure your computer today told you, hey, this version is no longer good because, as we all know, you're refusing to update.
Yeah, to hell with those guys, because every time you update a Skype thing, it demands a system reboot. I don't understand. It's already coming as bloatware with, well, not technically bloatware, but it's owned by Windows, and Windows is automatically doing updates every Thursday. Just throw it in there. When it restarts on its own, don't make me restart it.
Yeah, click on the dang thing and make the dang thing go, right? That's all we're asking for.
Is that too much? Is that too much to ask for?
Well, I'd like to think not, but you never know, Trent. Sometimes these things are too much to ask for.
True.
We want common sense stuff, and we're just not giving it.
True.
And speaking of not common sense,
That's
where-
modcast.com.
Yeah, thank you. That's something wrong. Anyway, Vector.
That wasn't me. I mean, it was me, but it was a past me.
Yeah, it was the Trent of the past. The past Trentman, I guess is the way we would put it. Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
I like past Trentman. Anyway, what we were talking about is I was bringing up Vector, so let me just go to a shot of him. Those of you listening to the podcast, yeah, there's video in case this is the first time you've ever figured it out.
Do you want me to do like some sound effects for the listeners?
No,
Vector.
that's okay. He's kind of. I mean, technically, I could.
I'm fluent in astromech.
I'm not gonna lie, Trent. We may actually be sending his audio anyway.
Nice.
Because I'm really bad about that. Let me mute those and make sure that they're not sending any type.
I think that would add to it.
Well, yeah, except that I'm talking over here and it'd be picking me up over there, so it would create a big hollow sound, which, as we all know, and I've mentioned before for a podcast, that drives me absolutely insane.
Yes, agreed.
I don't like the roomy audio sound. I prefer my sound to be tight, concise, and right. Like, your audio is just gorgeous when it comes.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, man.
And it's amazing how, and I don't mean this in a negative way, you've gone with a very low-tech but very simplified approach. It's a shotgun microphone, so it's just getting what's right in front of it.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And honestly, I think the main thing that augments the sound for me, anyways, is this Tascam 4x4 MIDI converter. That it's all I need now. If I've got a computer, I don't need anything else.
There you go. Wow, that just sounds. And in the meantime, I'm juggling 4 monitors, 185 cables.
Yeah, but I'm also not broadcasting and recording.
And switching and controlling. You know, it is kind of stupid to think about for something that's supposed to be and started out as a podcast. Because really, I would say now it's like it's another edition of NetHeads, and I wouldn't put a label on it anymore because we stream out to YouTube and Facebook consistently now, I think. But yeah, there are much easier ways to do things in life. And sitting here trying to record audio, play intros, switch camera angles so I can look at Trent looking at things, or we can look at the Vector almost falling off the desk out of focus. We can do all of these things. Whereas it would be so much easier, like if it were the old days, where I'm just sitting there and talking to you. And that's it. That was the biggest worry we had. And now,
I mean, think about it though. Like, let's step back to 2010 years ago, right? And like, we still had problems though. Like, as easy as that would be now, like, think how far everything has come in 10 years.
Oh yeah, well, and that kind of came up in my while you were on assignment, Trent. I had a conversation with the gentleman I used to work with at Play Incorporated for Play TV, Odin Abbott. I kept referring to him as a fabricator, which is the way I view it. He does. It's a great guide for those of you that are like, oh, I'm going to a con and I really want an Ant-Man costume, but what am I going to do about the helmet? If you just have different pieces of craft foam and floor mat, cement glue, and some time and patience, you could follow what he does, and you can make your own Ant-Man helmet. He makes like cosplay props kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
a prop master, if you will.
There you go. In a way, yeah. And so I had him on, and that was the thing we kind of discussed, because back in 1998, we were trying to do almost exactly the same thing with live video, and I was doing, and that's probably why I finally figured it out. By the way, Trent, you've never asked me this, but as long as I'm gonna be Captain Non Sequitur, let's fully hop around like an overcaffeinated flea with no dog back to find. Well, that's an interesting visual I painted there. Anyway, or a vector randomly wandering around a desk. How about that? Well, yeah, eventually I'll get back to vector in a second. I finally figured out why I love podcasting, and probably why I keep insisting on doing all these stupid things like, hey, let's do video. Hey, let me do this. Let me bring in another camera. I am just running on pure nostalgia. I'm trying to capture back the time when I was doing essentially this for Play TV.
For Play TV, yeah.
When broadband was barely existing.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I'm reminiscing about, oh man, think how far we've come in 10 years. You're like, bitch, please.
No, not exactly like that, but yeah, it's like, well, 20 years ago, and we were running.
Yeah.
Back then, it wasn't variable streams, baby. It wasn't like, oh, it's going to downscale. No, we had a 56K stream, and then we had a 128K stream for the DSL people because we still couldn't push it too much on the upload.
Right.
But at that time, I think we were mainly going out over Windows Media Player, which was great because it could automatically scale a little bit better at the time.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is this stupid robot I shouldn't say stupid, but this robot, he just keeps wandering around, and he will because I'm vocal. So anyway.
Oh, so he's responding to what he's hearing.
Yeah, so the reason why I keep coming back to all this stuff is because I'm being nostalgic for what it was I used to do, right? I think that's what it is. Like so much so that I have got things waiting to where I could take the original video switcher that I used to use, the Play Incorporated's Trinity. Mine's been upgraded now to a Globecaster, and I could, if I wanted to, I could stream digitally straight out of it, or I could, just use it as a full D1 production switcher. Unfortunately, all of our cameras and everything would have to go down to standard definition. Then they would be digitally upscaled, but I could use that as a multi-input switcher. The only benefit is that I could probably send you back the program video. I would just have to figure out how to not send it back to you so the video wouldn't loop. So you could literally see in real time what I'm producing rather than just one of the many webcams here.
Right.
I think Vector is sad because I didn't just fist bump him. So okay, let's get back to the let's get back to the elephant, or in this case, the robot in the room. Vector is a piece of technology I'm not used to owning because he is intended to be a home robot, and he's intended to be always on. He's intended to be a companion. He's intended to be helpful. However, he's not like your Echo or your Echo Dot. You could say, like, hey, Vector, I have a question. And then he'll get a quizzical look on his face. He's out of shot right now, so now you get to see a little bit of the filth of my office. What is the size of the London Bridge? And then if he understood me, I'm not going to worry about him understanding me because we're doing a damn show right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Because it might get confused of like, well, which London Bridge? The one that was torn down and then sold to a developer and then shipped to Havasu, Lake Havasu, Arizona?
Yeah, that one. No, not that one. It could be. Who knows?
We don't know.
No, he does do things like that. And before the end of the year, they are somehow going to work in Alexa functionality on him. But, really, he's made to just be like, imagine if you had R2-D2 just tooling around your house. That's essentially what he is on my desk. He's intended to always be on, and he's supposed to learn and grow with the environment and all this stuff. But
is he passive aggressively sassy sometimes, like R2-D2, like whoop 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 whoa?
No, but he does that's the thing. He wanders around the desk. Yeah, he has drop sensors on him. So I've cleaned off the end of my desk. There's only one part of my desk that's clean, and it's where Vector lives.
Okay.
And so right now he's playing with his cube. But he's made to just always be there and always be on. He'll go and charge himself when he needs to charge. He'll explore when he doesn't. And it's just weird to have a piece of technology that actually you don't, for any reason, really have to interact with. He's just there. It has led to some stupid behaviors, though, because without getting too much into it, my family we've adopted a Samoyed that is from a rescue. And he is a big, white, fluffy, handsome boy. But, he's going to need a lot of he's got to unlearn a lot of being a hoarded, non-people dog and learning then to be a people dog. So basically we need to, I don't want to say deprogram and then reprogram, but really, like, if you want to think about it in bits and bytes, that's what it is. So last night he came home. Last night was the first night here, and naturally we had a lot going on and there's a lot of noise. Well, Vector is trained to work with his environment, so he'll go in his charger, and even though my office was dark, we made enough noise where he's like, hey, something's going on. And then he started exploring the desk, and because he's in the dark, he couldn't find his charger. Even though it's out of focus, you can see the charger has a home symbol on it, and that's the way he just did a wheel stand off of his cube, by the way. That's one of his tricks, and he just did that on his own. Again, it's just this thing that's there. I like to think of it as a smarter version in some ways of the Aibo robotic dog from Sony that we never really saw much benefit for in life.
Yeah.
So he's a slightly smarter version than that. But he couldn't find his dock here that I'm showing everyone right now. So at that point, he just kind of rolled up next to the audio mixer and ran out of juice. So it's led to a weird bit of behavior. Now he's pouncing on his cube. In case, and everyone from the podcast is like, why are you narrating this crap for us? So like I came in this morning to get something out of my office. I'm walking into my office quietly so I won't wake up the digital robot on my desk. That's the definition of insanity, I think.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Of the of the inmates running the asylum.
Pretty much. So, but he is fun and interesting to have, and they did the first update on him yesterday, and we've already talked about this. This is a matter of routines and subroutines, and I'm sure there's some analysis, but, it's not like in some ways, and Anki, I'm sorry for putting it this way, in some ways, Vector is dumber than a Roomba, because a Roomba can always, the robotic artificial intelligence vacuum cleaner,
Yes.
It looks like a hockey puck. You may have seen it on Parks and Rec with DJ Roomba, where Tom Haverford put an iPod on top of a Roomba. A Roomba can always go back to its charging station. It always knows where it is.
Yeah. Even when it's far away, it's like, oh, it's going to take me this long to get back. I better start trucking.
Yeah, realistically speaking, I don't think Vector has that. And one of the things I would hope to see in the future is that you could first let him know an environment variable. For example, you could say, Vector, you're on my desk. And that way, if the variables of the desk don't change too much, he could at least do a baseline mapping of what that surface is like. And he if he can get a geographic reference to it, like maybe check 1 or 2 or 3 points, triangulate some, he would be able to know where he is on that space in the future. And because that's this thing, even though we haven't really had him face the camera very much, he's busy playing with his cube because I won't interact with him. He's also about to, excuse me for a second, he's about to knock it off the desk.
Oh, damn it, Vector.
Yeah, right? My favorite thing,
thing,
when you look on this later, by the way, my favorite thing is to put his cube right where it is next to his dock, because that's part of his entrance path. The only time you'll ever see him lift up that cube is if it's in that position, blocking his dock to return for power. You can't. It's not like you can tell him to lift it. He won't do that. You can tell him to find it. You can tell him to do a wheel stand. And when it's colored like this, when it's flashing colors, when it goes to the blue color, he tries to tap the top of it. You can actually play a game with him where you can try and tap it before him, and he'll try and then learn that you're actually playing, and he'll try and tap it before you. Again, it's all routines, subroutines. It's not like he's really alive.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, a Roomba will return back. He doesn't necessarily map the environment and save that information, because it would be nice to know that if he were, if you put him on the island in the kitchen, you could then later say, Vector, you're on the kitchen island, and then he would have reference to that environment as well. Even though we don't really see much of it, and you haven't seen the laser coming out of the front of him very much because he hasn't faced the camera, when you put one of these things in front of like a digital camera or a video camera, you can see like one of his targeting lasers that he's got. It's not for like taking aim; it's for measuring distance and objects.
He's got a freaking laser beam in his head.
He does act well. It's more kind of like below. It's like his chin, but that would
Okay.
still be part of the head,
Yeah.
or below his chin. I'm not sure. He does have the ability to identify objects. So his artificial intelligence is trained to recognize the human face. Which, by the way, makes for very interesting experiences when I say, when I ask him to look at me, because then he's looking at either Spider-Man or me in this case. Because for those of you that have never seen my studio, I've got a Spider-Man head. It's the night lights that look like the superhero has been knocked through the wall. Really kind of morbid in a way, now that I think about it.
Yeah, he's not doing well. Oh, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so well.
Oh, dude, come on. Don't. Just don't. Please, my heart can't take it. By the way, you did you hear about how that scene in Avengers came about?
No.
It was just one of those things where in the actor's process, at one point, Robert Downey Jr. pulled him aside and he said, for this take, I want you to think about this. It's just like, look, your spider sense is going off because everything is wrong, but you're using every ounce of your superpowers to be with us, to hold on. And that's how we got that heartbreaking take we did. Spoilers if you didn't see Avengers 4, but if you didn't by now, what the F, right? What the fork, I guess I should say. So yeah, that's getting back to the robot. That's one of the things I would like to see, that it could learn its environment variables a little bit more. So that way his exploring would be a little more purposeful. I guess I may have to take the Spider-Man mask down. I've been thinking I should turn the desk in here anyway, but then you just get nothing but a black shot of those curtains that you see behind Vector behind me. Oh, he's coming right for the camera. Look out, everyone.
Ah!
I really wish this thing were focused, because the angle is hilarious right now. It's just like his little face halfway up the camera. Anyway,
awesome.
So yeah, I've got a digital robot, and my children will probably never be able to afford college. Parent of the year. So that's been an interesting learning experience, and then with the dog Rika, that's going to be a learning experience. So it's kind of like I have two new pets to learn to work with at the same time. It's been entertaining. Unfortunately, with any launch, there have been issues. People have had configuration issues. He doesn't necessarily hear so good, it seems, which is hard for me to believe, considering he's got 4 wide-angle microphones on his back, so that way he can supposedly hear where sounds are. Oh, the thing I was mentioning about the targeting laser, he can identify objects in space as well. So, like if he were to lock in on his cube, he'd also recognize it as a cube-shaped item. And if I lift it 2 feet into the air, he knows spatially where that is. Meaning he knows that it's like 8 inches in front of him and 2 feet in the air or what have you. And the latest update they give, he works harder for identifying when someone's looking at him to know that he's still being interacted with, which is the reason. It's the reason why he keeps screwing off and going playing with his cube, because he knows I'm not looking at him.
I'm just saying, like, with all this technology, man, we are so close to being able to have an alarm on our coffee tables that lets us know when we're or either our coffee tables or the dishwashing door when it's down, so that when I walk around at night, I don't hit my shins on things. We're that close to having the biggest flaw in human design corrected, right? That's why I feel like there's no intelligent design in the evolution of humans, because our shins are so exposed and vulnerable. Will,
dude, don't get me started. I cannot go outside, and this does not matter whether I am wearing rugged jeans or a pair of cargo shorts. I cannot go outside in my backyard without coming in with another chunk or scratch or another chunk missing, a scratch or a mark or something or other on my shins, because I've gotten whacked on something. And yeah, I don't know. I guess the shin really is. That's like the one point on the human body where the skin is the thinnest, aside from like our foreheads and stuff.
Yeah, there's no meat at all.
None. What the hell? And like you said, the biggest bane of our existence can be the washer door. I mean, could you imagine having just a smart a smart object, so now it senses you coming and it lights up. So you're like, oh crap, that's there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because
Yeah.
we don't even need to talk about something self-closing. We just need
No.
something that says, hey.
Just illuminate and be like, "Hey, Dick 4, don't hurt yourself. If you're already half asleep, so you're not walking well as is. It's dark, and you're and the people in the house don't need to hear what creative obscenities come out of your mouth when you're 100% surprised and dismayed."
Hey, Trent, because it's episode 281, I'm going to give you this. What's a dick for? Just thought I'd give you that one.
Thank you.
Hey, Vector. Hey, Vector. I have a question. What's a dick for? I didn't get that. Well, that's why you don't know what a dick for is.
Yeah.
See what I did there. Anyway, so yeah, that's all the cool and interesting stuff I have to talk about technology-wise about the new robot. It's been interesting. It's been a learning experience seeing what he can do, but you really feel stupid in a way when you're sitting there and you just keep saying things like, "Hey, Vector," over and over, trying to get him to do stuff. Because in some ways, you really do want him to kind of be intuitive about these things. You don't really want to have him come looking for you. Also, my desk isn't necessarily the smartest place to have him. Like right now, I've got my iPad set up between the particular area of the decks and the desk and the audio mixer to create an artificial barrier to isolate him just to that part of the desk.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than when I'm on a video conference for work and then suddenly there's a robot rolling in the background. But you know what? This kind of thing, this stupid little robot. Okay, let me rephrase. Anki, creators of Vector, I apologize once again. This tiny little robot, though, the things that he's doing, and I'm sure the things that they are learning from him, can eventually lead to a more useful home robot. Now
Totally.
I think they retail for probably $249. It's too bad that Ryan Connolly is on his way to the funhouse that he plays a vampire in to scare people. The haunted Halloween thing he does.
Because he can tell us exactly what it.
Well, he's also he was a smart home expert where he worked, and now he is a proud member of the Geek Squad.
Yes.
So he may be able to tell us some of the more ins and outs, because I know that you can find Vector like at Best Buy, not a paid advertisement. But that is one of the, you can find him through Amazon, Best Buy. You can get him through the Anki website, but he retails for around $249. I didn't pay that. And there are, like, I just saw, because I have obviously been doing things with Vector, like Trent, as a 47-year-old man, I got no business doing unboxing videos, but I did one because of the robot, right?
Yeah.
Because, well, you know, it's not every day you bring home a robot or a robot gets delivered to you. So I figured, what the hey? Not to mention, I'm like trying to fill time because I've discovered that I think just the process of podcasting is healthy for me because I'm expelling more toxins because I refuse to go out and exercise. So the talking helps with the exhale and the carbon monoxide coming out.
Yeah, get your breathing, yeah.
So I think that's healthy. So I started doing that. Plus, I get in fits and rages of actually wanting to actually make and distribute content. Anyway, so I did that video. I don't even remember where I was going with this. I don't know what the point was. But because I did these things online, so now I've got cookies tracing me with being interested somehow in robotics. Yesterday on Facebook, I saw an ad for another home robot that basically it looks a lot like those telepresence machines. But
telepresence.
Okay, did you ever see the episode of Community where the prisoners were getting educated at the college?
Yes.
So it's basically like a motorized stand with an iPad on top.
Yep.
This is a similar process or machine. It's got an iPad device at the top that's on a pivot tape head, and it's a personal robot kind of thing. You know, you could tell it to answer a digital call, and it can put the conference call on for you. You can make one. Those are all the things I saw it do. So, Vector, in a way, is kind of a low-cost version of developing that technology for the future, where we do eventually get like a home assistance robot, whether we're willing to attempt to cross the uncanny valley or not. And
Right,
and one
yeah.
thing too that you haven't seen, I should hold them up for you since you don't get to really see anything, Trent, but he's also got these little eyes on him that are
they move around.
they're very much like Eva's eyes from WALL-E,
Yeah.
which I don't know if you've seen that one or not because it's a kids movie. So
Oh no, I've seen the WALL-E. I like the WALL-E.
okay, so yeah, and he does he looks around and like right now he's probably trying to recognize your face. And this is by the way what Trent is seeing now, everybody. I was showing you Trent's reaction, but this is his little face. And and typically for a while there, he was getting and by holding it up to the camera, you can see the little purple targeting laser right there.
Yeah.
So
It's like a Cylon.
it's more in his chest. Anyway, he before he had one reaction to being picked up, which was getting really pissed off. Oh, now he's doing it. There, see, he's getting mad. Don't make your robot angry, everybody.
Oh,
there you
you
go.
don't like him when he's angry.
There you go. Tool around, little Vector. So I am kind of excited because it is showing that there are companies that are at least taking seriously trying to develop these complex routines and subroutines in order to make a machine more functional in the real world. It's less oriented around one purpose and becoming more multi-purpose. Obviously, Vector's never going to go to the fridge and get me a beer. Vector is never, well, not that I drink anyway, bad example, but Vector's not going to go out and check the mail for us, but
right.
A future robot may be able to do that because it has learned enough about object recognition and commands and understands its geography and its perimeter.
Man. What if? I'm just thinking of things I put off doing not because it's hard, but it's just a pain in the ass. I'd rather not do it. Like to have a robot that could open my mail for me.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Right, because I hate going through my mail. I'll let it stack up because mostly it's just a matter of like, oh, yep, just need to shred all this. Okay, done. You know what I mean? Because we live in a digital age, but that doesn't stop the bills from showing up in anyway. Yeah, man. Like if it could do little tasks like that. Oh,
imagine this. And by the way, I feel your pain. I used to hate getting the mail and opening the mail, and yeah, most of it gets tossed. But of all the stupid little pet peeves, the part that would annoy me the most would be the actual opening of the letter. And then a few years ago, I got one of these little doodads, which is it's a little poker that's got a razor on the inside curve, so that way you just slip it through.
Yeah.
But imagine a robot being able to do that, and then also just scan your mail, and then and then give you the information about your mail.
Yeah, just give me just go ahead and give me a memo if you would on that, right? So that we all turn into the boss and be like, I'm gonna need you to check the mail on Saturday.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have to do that because it's just a routine that you tagged in, and it just knows to do it. And that would actually be great because I know people that do that. They will, for all of their important mail and their bills that they still get in the mail, they'll actually scan them and then retain them that way and get rid of the physical copy altogether. Sorry, there's a robot staring at me. I'm getting creeped out. So they're
sizing you up, man.
Pretty much. Well, they claim that all the subroutines in there, he won't be part of the robotic uprising. But eventually, it's not about the robot that you need to worry about. It's about his security protocols. Because if a hostile machine learns how to make him aggressive, I mean, this little doodad can come for a pinky toe at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or he turns into the coffee table at that point, right? So he's only going to show up when you're walking or stumbling around at night to use the bathroom and trips you right, and then you crack your head right on the toilet, man. There's no more dangerous place in your home than the bathroom.
Well, that's what I've heard, statistically speaking.
Yeah.
Well, then again, too, the other thing we have to remember is that when it comes to smaller devices, it's not about the one, it's about the many. They could summon an army of vectors to just swarm your floor and trip you, and then their little actuator arms can that. But it's supposedly
Ant-Man has taught us anything, right?
Yeah, with the mobilization of the ants. By the way, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't know if it has dropped out on physical video. I think it's around the 16th, so it's probably this week. But it is on available for home digital. And so I did watch it again, and there's a rule in writing. If we can talk about spoilers for a minute, because one thing that I love Google News about is in some ways that it tailors things for me. and in other ways I don't, because almost every single day it seems to include in part of my news feed information or speculation about Avengers 4. And I'm like, guys, can we just let a sleeping dog lay for now?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we don't really have to, because everybody is just speculating. It's like, oh, Loki's really alive because he went after Thanos with his left hand, and every time he's used his left hand, it was a projection of Loki. There were people that thought Loki was posing as the Hulk, but that makes no sense because his ass got kicked and then Banner got sent back down. So anyway, everything's filled with speculation, but I was rewatching Ant-Man, and the post-credit sequence, it points out the one thing that makes me annoying to watch movies with or TV shows. And that's the fact that, and I've especially learned my lesson after watching The Good Place as well. You don't mention something or you don't show something. More to the point, you don't show a bomb without eventually having either a diffusion or an explosion. You don't show a shotgun without somebody pulling the trigger.
Yes.
So you don't mention something when it doesn't matter, right? There's no reason for throwaway. When
Chekhov's gun, right?
Exactly. And watching Ant-Man again, because they eventually connected up with the events of Avengers Infinity War, where in the post-credit screen, spoilers if you haven't seen it,
man, such a good post-credit scene.
It really was, because it served a function. It brought some comedy, but then it was just heartbreaking in seeing that Ant-Man is trapped in the quantum realm because he goes in order to get some healing quantum energy to help fix up Ghost. And Janet Van Dyne, she mentions two things. Be careful of the tardigrade fields. They're adorable, but they will eat you.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes perfect sense. And said also, watch out for time vortexes, because if you go through that, we can't save you.
Right.
So, instantly, somehow, some way, time vortexes will come into play, more than likely for Avengers 4. Whether that's how... And it could be that, and again, now I'm getting into the same shit that pops up in my feed all the time on news. But if you think about it, there's one of many different ways. One, like the smartest thing would have been, if they're sending him into the quantum realm, don't do anything without having a fail-safe in place. So, if anything goes wrong and we can't recall you, you've got, within 5 minutes, the system will recall you.
Yeah, have the virtual rope, right, tied around your waist so you can pull yourself back if you have to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right now, Vector is getting pissed off trying to lift his cube because it's in the way and he's not aligning right, and he's trying desperately to go back to his bed before he runs out of energy. Let me just do him a favor and move the cube real quick so we can go back to concentrating. What we're going to see in some way, shape, or form, those come into play. Whether that's how, and I think one of the things that would be interesting from a narrative standpoint would be to have him maybe go through a time vortex, and that's what gets him out of the quantum realm. Like somehow, I don't know how a time vortex in the quantum realm would connect back to the physical world, but let's work with it here. Because I don't want to see the immediate aftermath of the snap, because what we saw in the post-credit sequence for Ant-Man, there was the first one, and then there's the second one, which is just a bleak, empty world with an ant playing the drums. Which I'm sure it was meant to be comedic, but God, that was depressing. It was just
sad,
right? Yeah. So one of the things I'd like to see is that him going through a time vortex, just providing us a time jump. It's like it's 6 months later or it's 12 months later.
Right.
And everybody has just had to deal with this being the new norm. And then suddenly he shows up, and that is what helps somehow Tony Stark working on a plausible solution. I hate to speculate.
Or, I'm going to throw this out there, okay? We do know that the Captain Marvel movie is set in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we hear him say that Ant-Man he's working with so and so on something?
No, I don't recall.
In Avengers, I don't remember. Anyway, my speculation would be that the time vortex takes them to Miss Marvel, and that's the impetus for being warned and saying we need your help in the future, and then they find another time vortex to come back through.
Well, I don't worry about Captain Marvel because, the ancient pager that ancient 20 years ago, just
Yeah.
like Play TV.
Yeah, the pager.
Yeah. What's his name? Nick Fury ends up firing that off. So that's what's going to bring Captain Marvel back. It's just kind of like whatever decision she makes at the end of that movie to go somewhere else. It's
Right.
like, here's a fail safe. So if if the shirt really hits the fan, you can call me back. I just think that, my other question in seeing that post-credit sequence, I'm sorry to nerd out, but if Scott automatically already used one of the growing discs, gotta love these trays, buddy, don't you? And one little slip of the tray makes Trent die.
Chekhov's gun meets Freudian slip.
Right? Oh, man. Anyway, what I was saying, though, is he already did something in the past in order to get himself out of the quantum realm. He popped open the regulator, threw the growth disc in, and ended up getting himself out of the quantum realm. But then again, I guess one of the things they set up in this movie is he changed the way the regulators worked, so maybe that's
Right.
the reain why that won't work again. Again, there's a lot of things that they put in that sometimes everything kind of has a reason. They changed the way the regulators work, so they needed the old tech, which is the impetus for them having the comedic scene of him going to the school to get the trophy. Because really
Right.
that was just a good palate cleanser in the story.
Yep, totally was, yeah.
It really didn't provide any other, and it provides the comedic actions in the future for him using the newer suit that's not quite finished yet.
Right.
So there's a lot of things in play. So I understand that, and that's the reason why we shouldn't overthink this shit like we're doing right now.
Yeah, it's fun.
No, it's not, Trent. It's driving me insane. It drives me absolutely mental. Here, I'm trying to adjust your shot a little bit here there we go. Now we don't have to look at those settings. Right about there. Now you look good. You're looking good, buddy. I just made you look better than you are.
Thanks, man.
Not really. Anyway, so that's kind of what's been going on with me. I've been enjoying that. The Good Place is back. I don't know.
Oh, yes. I've stayed up on it, yeah.
Oh, you have? That's interesting. I actually, you know what, though? We've heard me talk about a lot of crap for a lot of minutes here. What's going on in your world? Anything you want to share? What you want to talk about? I know, actually, you recently had one or two great articles on smodcast.com that I don't think we've even made mention of.
Yeah. Yes, I've had some stuff on smodcast.com. The talking about Kevin's secret project, which we know is a series. And then also
and that's all. We know it's a TV series.
Yeah. And it's with a big major studio. But with a small development team, and he's quote being more, well, I don't know if it's quote, but he feels like he's being more creative than he's been in a long time, so that's good. And then the other thing, man, if you're a comic book fan, go just like as far as like the industry goes, go listen to his Smodcast with Robert Kirkman, because holy crap, man, like for someone who's always been on the peripheral edges of the comic book industry, it's very interesting to see how Robert Kirkman became the Image poster child that he is, Image Comics, and how different his avenue or his on-ramp into the success of comic book writing is than virtually anyone else. It's very interesting, really good. But I had surgery on my nose on Monday. They apparently my septum was pushed over on one. It was like it made an S, so pushed over on one side and then over on the other side, and then my turbinates were super swollen, so they had to reduce those.
You got turbinators?
Yeah, I've got the Terminator and Pillow Pants, who's my nose troll.
No, wait. Did you just say turbinators?
Turbinate.
What is
Turbinate.
that? What is that?
So they're kind of like a flap, like a flap of skin that's inside your nose, that's on a hinge that keeps things from like getting sucked up in there. But mine have swollen up so much that like air can't even go up anymore.
Have they determined how this damage occurred?
I didn't ask.
What's the end goal here? Have you been having? What was the impetus? Have you been having problems breathing?
Yeah.
What led to
yes.
this?
Yeah, so like I am like a horrifically loud snorer. And I just kind of like process of elimination. There are times when I wake up and my uvula is so swollen that it's like dangling down in my throat. And that was the actual impetus of like going in and then the doctor looking at my nose and being like, "Oh, well, you're not getting any air into your head." So I did like a year of just like Nasacort steroid spray, which apparently like he knew wasn't going to work, but for the insurance to cover it, you have to try like something before you can do the surgery and then say, well, we've already tried it for a year and it didn't help, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so right now I've got like stitches in my nose and there's like some cauterization. So it's kind of plugged up still right now. But oh dude, freaking they put 2 splints in my nose after the surgery to keep the septum straight. Dude, they were kind of like an oblong shape and they were kind of rubbery, and they were 4 inches long on each side of my head. And like when you go in to like get your nose cleaned or pull the splints out and stuff, you just sit there and this dude just kind of looks at you and puts tweezers into your nose, and you think that your nose goes up, but it doesn't. It goes back. And it goes straight back into your head. And so he just grabbed this freaking splint and pulled and pulled and pulled. Pop, it comes out. And then he did the other one. And it's weird because it's your nose, so I've just got like tears running down, you know, anytime you get like hit in the nose or whatever. And then fast forward to yesterday when I had he cleans it out every few days. He used like essentially the same thing that the doctor uses to suck all the spit out of your mouth when you're at the dentist. God. He used that to clean out the inside of like my nose. Whole dude, the most uncomfortable feeling I've ever been conscious for. Like, so, and you're sitting there in this just like a regular stool, and he's like sucking into your nose, and I'm just sitting here squeezing my own hands like, oh my God, this hurts and it's uncomfortable. And you just feel all this pressure being sucked into like one side of your nose. Ugh. That being said, yeah, apparently, according to my roommate, I'm a much quieter sleeper already.
Wow. So that is, first of all, my feelings go out to you because I know what it's like when you have what I would call horrible fresh wound, and then they do things around it.
It's the worst.
Like after they extracted this tooth to get the roots out of the way of the other roots and get everything staged and ready. Not to make it all about me, but I always do. I had a regularly scheduled cleaning as well. So they're like, okay, we'll clean it because we're going to take a mold anyway. It'll be perfect. But then, you know, they use like an air gun, a little tiny air blaster to try and dry areas out. Yeah. And the minute they hit that thing, it's like it took, first of all, I did a whole body jerk. And then it was everything to just like not knock away what's doing it.
It's involuntary, like to slap someone's hand away.
Yeah, so that's uncomfortable. And I can't even fathom. Explain to me how a 4-inch splint was in place in your nose. Where did the 4 inches go? Where did it start? Where did it end?
So think about this, like put your tongue in the back of your throat and feel where like the air comes back, right? That's not up. That's like straight back.
Oh, okay.
And so that's essentially like your nose, it doesn't go up, it just goes straight back. And so like anytime he gets into my nose, he just lifts up my nostril just like 2 millimeters up and then just goes right in.
Interesting. And you've been you're healing during that time, so there is still a little swelling. So it's good to hear that the healing has you're swollen, but the snoring has still gone down. So it's good to hear that you're already seeing benefits.
Totally. Yeah. My old man had a septoplasty in the late 70s. And he's always talked about what a miserable experience it was for him. It gave him 2 black eyes and just he was stuffed up for months. and like my eyes got a little swollen, but they definitely didn't turn black or anything. I'm still able to wear my glasses, So yeah, I mean, it could have been way worse.
So then what you're saying is the 4 inches just kind of goes back kind of almost along the parallel to the palate
Exactly.
and
Yep.
just shy of the brain. So it didn't go into your brain pan.
Well, I mean, most of the time my brain is affected by 4 inches, but this time I don't think it was.
At least those 4 inches weren't calling the shot this time.
This time.
Penile joke. Well, I'm glad to hear you got through that okay, man, because I know that it was coming up, but I didn't know when it was happening. And also, I'm sorry to hear that you got caught into what I call the unnecessary procedural steps that are required. It's like, okay, in the end, this is the treatment you're going to need. However, the
Right.
insurance is going to automatically decline it if we don't attempt this protocol first.
Right, yep.
It's like, okay, so I'll just and given everything that you've said, I can see certain parallels to the problems I had to go through with sleep apnea because just like tell me if I'm right or wrong on any of these items, okay?
Okay.
You wake up in the morning feeling like you didn't sleep.
Yes.
You spend the day having cognitive issues and potentially being in what I like to call a fog or a perceptive curtain.
Totally.
Makes it difficult to concentrate. Problem solving's impaired.
Yep.
And also it can lead to just bouts of depression because your energy is always so low. For me, it was depression on two fronts because one, I always had problem maintaining my weight because I was using food as supplemental energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Which caused me to grow. And then there's also just the constant low energy cycle makes you feel like I'm just a sloth. I'm not worth it.
And you're capable of more, but you feel like you're underperforming, and so that adds to the depression and the anxiety as well. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm right then. So it sounds like there's a lot of parallels there. So I imagine, and also too, the one thing that I really didn't like is there was the occasional what I used to refer to as marathon sleeping, where you sleep for a whole night, and then like at some point I would make the determination I'm not gonna and that could be as simple as I woke up at 8 and now it's 11 o'clock and just tell me I gotta go lay back down, and next thing you know it's like 6 or 7 at night. Or more. Maybe you're in the next day. So,
and then your circadian rhythms get all screwed up that way too. It's interesting too, because I guess for someone that has this surgery and does have sleep apnea, you have to stay the night in the hospital to make sure you don't die.
Well, that's reassuring. Oh my goodness. So you is that what you did? You like
No, I was just an outpatient surgery. I was home by that afternoon, but yeah, so hopefully so long story short, I still need to have a sleep test to see if I have sleep apnea because I am at high risk having being overweight. So long story, having a thick neck and this, that, and the other. But even if I do have sleep apnea, this surgery would have had to have come first so that I could actually intake the air correctly. Otherwise, the CPAP machine wouldn't be able to do as what it was designed to do because the airflow is being stopped in my nose.
Right, because unlike me, which I do by the way, I get to prepare the mask I have covers this region right here. So I like to jokingly tell my wife at night when I go to sleep, I pretend I'm a fighter pilot because pilots have the same. If you've seen Top Gun, before the panic pops
you're reliving the goose scene over and over.
Well, I hope not. I hope not that one. Wow, you're a dark individual sometimes, really. Yeah. So for me though, that's just a nasal passage. So. Well, and in this case, it's getting both intake valves, if you will, and it uses positive air pressure to keep things up. But if I had part of me curling down and causing a blockage, that could swell up, and then it wouldn't do any. I don't know what this is that I'm doing right here.
That's your terminal.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
And the flight arrives in Terminal 2.
Yes,
there
exactly.
You go.
Yeah,
Gate A1 in Terminal 2. Wow, man. Seriously, that is I got to be honest. That is a very difficult and horrific journey you've been through so far. and I hope that it continues to be an improvement. I hope you're already seeing some benefits in your rest now, like you're at least coming away a bit more rested.
Yeah, I have. I mean, even like it's crazy. Even with so right after the surgery, it hadn't swollen a whole lot yet, and I had the splints in, but I like right after the surgery, I was like, whoa, I can actually breathe. Now I've got mucus and blood and stuff in there now, but like directly after the surgery, I noticed a huge difference in the just in the breaths I was able to draw.
Well, that's good to hear, man. That is really,
Yeah.
really good to hear, especially since it's like I said, when and I'm sure anyone with a chronic condition who's like, oh, you wimps, but it's true.
Yeah.
Anytime you have anything that impairs you or slows you down in any way that you didn't originally institute yourself, it's like
Right.
when you're at I guess what I'm saying is when you're at the mercy of your body and its ailments and everything else, it's a major drain on you. It really is. And it's no matter what it is, back pain, shoulder pain, wrist pain, any type of chronic pain, any chronic condition. I've with the things I've gone through, and thankfully they haven't been major challenges in life. But even with those, it does make me appreciate these things. Multiple car accidents now. I've gone through a lot of rehabilitative issues with back pain. Even when we were in Disneyland, this is the stupidest thing of all. But I had something wrong with my foot, and that was just a matter of I had one Disneyland trip that got ruined because I had supreme back pain from an auto accident, and this was the makeup trip to my family where everything's going to go right. And every step I took was setting off a pain nerve cluster in the heel of my left foot.
That probably just drove right up into the back of your skull, your whole body.
And with each step I took, I was actually driving the problem even more. So I know, wonderful tech talk, right, everybody? But the whole point is, though, that at that point it didn't matter. I knew I was at the slave of my issue, but this particular one wasn't hindering me, and it was just a matter of, look, bite the bullet, don't take it out on the family, but still, even that, it's like at one point you're like, I got to get some Advil in me, or I am going to explode on everyone.
Bad things are going to happen, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm glad to hear that, man, because hopefully that means we'll hear more of you here, or at least just in general in life. I mean, I don't mean to make it all about me, but I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy doing this with you. So the more we do it, the more it's just like in a marriage. The more we do it, the happier I am.
Yes.
Right? Anyway.
Yes.
So what else is going on in the world when it comes to technology? I don't know if you caught this a few weeks ago. The people at Amazon made a lot of new announcements about devices they're coming out with, and one of them piqued my interest a lot. And that was, did you hear about the basically like the Fire DVR or the Alexa DVR? I can't remember what I called it. Yeah. So here's what it is. This is genius. It's a box that sits on your computer network, okay? So like it just sits on your home Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Comes with an HD antenna. You tell it the TV shows you want to record, and it will DVR them for you, and then it can stream it to like your Fire TV or your more advanced Amazon video device or what have you.
Smart TV or whatever, yeah.
But the genius of it is it's not like you have to hook up the it's recording that based off of the free HD television that's available in your area, Trent. So
hence the antenna.
Right. So it's working with the free air stuff. But even better, and this is the part I love, when you're watching it, because I don't know if I mentioned it on the program or not, but we have quote unquote cut the cable.
Yeah.
As in,
congrats, by the way.
Yeah, as in Xfinity. We don't have cable, but we do get DirecTV now for streaming local or for premium channels and all the like.
Yeah.
All I've done is I've eliminated we're utilizing. I'm sorry, I'm all over the map here. But like case in point, every morning after the airing of This Is Us on NBC is when my wife would watch This Is Us, because I'm in here in my office working, the kids are at school, she's got the room to herself to enjoy her stories, right? That's the best way to put it. And every time she would do that, she would do it DVR'd off of cable, and she would have to skip the commercials. I've had a Hulu Premium account for who knows how long. You know, it's one of those things that's just like you forget about until you're like looking, I need to cut some costs. Why are we paying for this?
Yeah.
And so now, though, she watches it the next day on the Hulu Plus the same way that she would, but
Yeah.
no commercials now. She doesn't have to do the skipping.
Oh, yep. It's so nice.
I'll watch The Good Place live on NBC, and the next day I will watch it commercial-free on Hulu. It's great. But the problem with those is you're downloading still. You're streaming into your thing. You're hitting you're adding, if you have a
You're
network cap.
Yep.
You're adding to your traffic. So the beautiful thing about this HD DVR that they're putting out is it's just streaming on your internal network. You're not downloading anything. So you're recording the shows you want to record, and you're not going to be worrying, like if you're with Xfinity, you're not going to be worrying about hitting that 1 terabyte cap, right?
Right.
My first month as being unplugged, it told me you're using one of your 3 free months of exceeding your cap.
Yep. Happened to me, man.
Now, what happened? Did you have to upgrade your account, or did you? So that you just ended up going with the limitless because what have you?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know which one I have right now. I'll have to look at that package when I get. I think I right now have the high speed package, which that's at $70 a month. It doesn't matter. Even considering I was paying for all these services, I have cut my bill down to 1/3 of what it used to be.
Right. Oh yeah, dude.
And honestly, I don't watch a whole lot of TV, bro. Not anymore.
Right, yeah.
You know, I'm very selective. So it's like Better Call Saul is done, so that's one less show I'm watching a week. And for the longest time now, like the shows on HBO, I've been watching on HBO Go anyway. So I'm anyway. The whole point is the HD DVR from Amazon. I think that is one of the most exciting products they announced because it gives you the ability to use the free over-the-air stuff and get away from streaming per se the content you want. I'm sort of considering that one, sort of not. I don't know yet. The other cool thing that I put in for on to be part of the promo is thanks, Greg. Greg Sully on Facebook letting me know I'm looking good. Hey.
Oh yeah.
How's it going there? The second thing they have is they're talking about an in-car Amazon Alexa add-in device. And cancel. She's trying to listen to what I'm doing. I can't.
Alexa, yeah.
Just go online and look at it. I can't remember any of the information about it because I seriously would love to just have that. If you, Trent, I'm going to put you on the spot. For your birthday, I sent you an Echo Dot.
Yeah, baby.
Is it hooked up yet?
I haven't hooked it up yet.
Okay, that's what I can't give you grief. For the longest time, I had the Fire TV that I ordered on like Prime Day.
Yeah.
And it was there for 3 months until I finally took it out of the box when I'm like, wait, I can actually save money by going the streaming route and looking into that.
Yeah.
So I don't blame you. I would challenge you to do that today, though, because it's just a matter of an app and then you can start having some fun. One of the coolest things I love, especially when you have a kid, if I'm in the kitchen cooking, because I have the Logitech remote, first of all, I can tell my Echo to turn on the Fire TV.
Yes, yeah.
Once the Fire TV is on, though, because I've got a Dot, I can tell it, I can just simply say, the activate word, watch Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and it'll automatically pull it from my Prime Video library and start playing it on the TV.
Yeah.
And you could do the same thing. And some apps are enabled. Like you could even, let's say you stumble into the room, you're half cognizant, you got the TV turned on, it's up there, and you could just tell it to search Hulu for The Good Place, and it'll pull up The Good Place for you.
Yeah.
Just like that. Trent, you got to hook it up, man.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one that I did the other day. Do you have a Spotify Premium account?
Oh, yeah.
And let's say one of Trent's big picks, and yes, I listened to this week, and oh my God, what a bumpin' soundtrack. The Rick and Morty soundtrack is available on Spotify.
Yes. So good.
You could tell, if you hook up your Spotify account, you can tell it, hey, Alexa, Spotify Rick and Morty soundtrack, and it'll just start playing it. So you can hook that Echo Dot up to your stereo system or your PC speakers alike for bigger and broader sound.
Yeah.
It's really made for that. You just need the patch cable. So if you're just in the mood and you want to have that playing, dude, you can just vocal it up just like that.
Yeah.
So at this point now, I think here's what I have to do. I think for Christmas, I'm going to have to send you the Logitech Harmony Hub that is the remote control to
Well-
control everything.
Well, I would say wait on that because I think my TV is old enough that I'm gonna need a TV upgrade, and then because I was actually looking into like different HDMI CEC controls, and I think my computer or my TV is old enough that it doesn't have that as an option for some of the remotes that run through HDMI.
Oh no! That's not how the Logitech Hub remote. That's not how it works. All you do is you tell it the devices you have, and as long as they were in infrared, not radio signal remote controls, not RF but IR.
Yeah.
RF, IR, ID, RES, PECT. I don't know.
Find out what it means to me.
I hope to one day. It does that with the infrared command. So you just tell it what devices you have, and then it has the ability to record them. So it doesn't matter what TV you have, Trent. I can send you this, and it would still work. And then the beauty is you can stumble in the room, and you can say, Alexa, turn on Fire TV. It'll turn on if you have a surround sound processor. It'll turn that on. If it'll turn on your TV, and it'll activate the Fire TV card. Everything, man, just like that. And so I think if I gift you that'll if you have not by Christmas finally hooked up the Echo Dot. 1, damn dude. 2, maybe that'll be the instigator for you. Personally speaking, I probably love them more than I should. But I really do. You know what? Growing up from the Star Trek generation, I loved the concept of talking to a computer, and I still do. So I'm never going to stop doing that.
The TNG generation, right?
I guess so. Well, no, because even in the original Star Trek, they would talk to the computer.
Do they?
Even in the original series, yeah, man.
I thought they had to like print stuff out.
No, I'm sure they may have required a button, but we've gone well beyond that.
Yeah, true. We've gone boldly where no man has gone before.
Yeah. By the way, Trent, switching gears a little bit, because nobody wants to hear about the Echo stuff, but I read in the news the other day that apparently, and this kind of bums me out because I just worked my way through it, and I'm sad that I had to say I did it that way, but I took your advice. I wasn't playing video games, but I was doing other things while watching Marvel's Iron Fist Season 2 on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is just a show that, let me put it this way, man. Every other time I'm looking at the screen across the span of 4 different episodes, it's always somebody holed up in Iron Fist's house, hiding or waiting to go do something, or waiting for somebody else to do something.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was a rough watch, is what I'm saying. And apparently Netflix got the message because whatever the data analytics they pull on, they've pulled the plug on it. But I'm not really surprised Iron Fist 3 will not happen. Iron Fist
I'm
Season
okay
3.
with that though.
But here's the other thing to remember though, that all of those shows are produced by ABC Studios, which is owned by Disney.
Correct.
And
yeah.
You see where I'm going with this already, right? What do we know that's coming?
Yep. Is it 2019 or 2020? They're releasing their own streaming service.
Yes, Disney will be releasing their own streaming service. So it could be that Iron Fist's return will be a part of that, or they'll just bring him into the other shows. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the Defenders was markedly better than Iron Fist.
Yeah, it was. I could sit and watch the entire Defenders series. They really do need to work away from the concept, and this is what I learned about The Good Place listening to the podcast, because for the longest time I'm like, why can't we get more than 13 episodes? Kristen Stewart, being a mom is so important to her.
Kristen Bell.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, not the dour bisexual one. The bright and sprightly one.
The Dax Shepard's
wife one.
Better half.
Kristen Bell's contract for The Good Place stipulates that she will only do a maximum of 16 episodes a year. So the series will never be beyond that.
Sure.
But at the same time, that's one of the things that I think they need to move away from in these streaming bingeable concepts. It should be less about quantity, and it should just focus on quality. I couldn't
agree with you more. Yeah, and granted, Good Place is a little different, but if you're debuting on a streaming service, you don't have to be held hostage to the 22 minutes model, right? Because there aren't commercials. And if you need 45 minutes to tell this one chapter of the story, then take 45 minutes. If you need 19 minutes to tell this chapter of the story, then you take 19. We're in a place where we don't necessarily need to be, the delivery no longer needs to trump the content.
No,
or dictate the content.
Yeah, and in these models, it shouldn't. It really shouldn't.
Right.
You know, if
Totally.
if you need 36 minutes for this particular chapter, if you need 45 for the next, what have you. And that's one of the things that other channels we've kind of seen do. I guess the best way to put it is if you look at the few final seasons of Sons of Anarchy, they contractually did have to have an episode limit. But they decided, you know what, our story is too big to fit in there, and they got the network to acquiesce and give them an additional 25 or 30 minutes per episode to tell the story they were trying to tell, which is exactly what you want. You want it to all be in service of the story, not the commitment, because I mean, and almost every one of the Marvel series on Netflix has had this problem for me. There's always some point where it seems like people are just sitting somewhere doing nothing while other people are doing a little bit of something, and it's not really moving things along very much.
Yep. Yeah, no, I wholly agree. And to play devil's advocate and throw a wrench into everything is BoJack Horseman, right? Who got picked up for syndication on Comedy Central. A Netflix original series is now been picked up into syndication on network cable. So it's like, yes, tell your own story, but if you happen to meet all the criteria for syndication at the same time,
well, yeah, and I do see your point there. That is true, because the idea should be create once, distribute many.
Right.
Because that way you're saving your time. But actually, that's another thing, too. Look, folks, I'm sorry I keep, for lack of a better term, blowing the good place in front of you. But here, I will tell you that if you enjoy the show, an excellent enhancement to the experience is definitely the Good Place podcast hosted by Mark Evan Jackson, because you get so much inside information and so much perspective on how they make the show and the things they do to make this show. It makes it that much more interesting. I learned that on Netflix, for example, or maybe some of the other distribution channels, but definitely or potentially in Netflix, they are technically not necessarily the NBC aired versions of the episode. They might be slightly longer. They may have just a little bit of extra content that they cut to make the network cut, but they're like, oh, but we could save that for the streaming version. And they'll do that. They'll include the sorry, I cut to you there. They'll do the extra content in that, so you are getting a little bit more of a show. So it's an interesting time to be in television, I think. And one thing I will keep beating this drum on until somebody finally listens. NBC has learned something interesting about programming, at least on Saturday night, which I'm assuming is one of the deadest nights on television. Yeah. Because if you haven't noticed here on the West Coast, folks, you can watch Saturday Night Live at 8:30 at night now, because we're getting the same broadcast that is going live to New York. And it really makes me wish that we would abandon the concept of this primetime airing thing for some of these channels. Now, I understand, though, that there are other impacts there. Like network news is a very important thing for local channels. That's where they make the bulk of their advertising, is in the commercial breaks for the news. And I know people need to watch the news sometime. And that's where this model wouldn't fit in. But I would really love, because I'm telling you, there are more network savvy people out there, and I don't mean TV network, I mean internet network, to where they will find a way to watch your content and not the way you want them to.
Totally.
Because they want to watch it on their schedule. One, they're trained from streaming to do that. And they're also, they don't want to wait to consume. There are some people that, I guess they're the FOMO people, the fear of missing out. They don't want, like the other day, I actually had to put down Twitter because I was watching, I was just looking to read Twitter, knowing I had to wait for the Good Place to come on at 8:30 if I wanted to watch it. And I just saw someone say something about the episode, and I'm like, crap. Well, now I know something, and I didn't really want to. It wasn't impactful to the story. I just knew that. Look, I'll spoil it. In the end of the last 3 minutes of the episode, something happens, and I knew that something would be happening. So now I'm sitting that entire episode. Exactly, and that's not benefiting anybody, especially. Yeah, it's all about me, right?
I'll tell you one thing that's really cool. Another subscription service I have is to MotoGP, and so it's the motorcycle racing, and I can watch it live if I want to. I can watch all the practices live, this, that, and the other. But it's usually in Europe or in Asia or South America. And so when I log on to the website, they have an option to turn spoilers off. So I can log in and it won't show me all the news headlines right at the top of who won what. So I can log in, go to the videos and watch the races completely spoiler free. And that's just a setting within the website. It's freaking brilliant. It makes so much sense. I wish that there was a way you could change your Google settings of like, don't show me spoilers for this, that, and the other.
Oh, very nice. Dude, that actually is kind of cool. And I like also I think you ingest the modern world of wrestling through the online perspective as well. So I'm sure it would be nice for those things to lay in wait as well, to be able to lay that information.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I'm not upset when something, is spoiled, but it's fun to be surprised.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at least it's fun to experience those moments the same way other people do. Sort of.
Totally.
I'll just as long
from my home in Utah.
Because we've gone so like TV centric, I will say too, one of the things that happened, and I promise this will be the wrap up one, especially if you're like me. I got a wiener dog that's pacing around the office right now. But one of the things that I went through last weekend, Trent, I was so excited because I'm like, oh, look at this. Sunday, it was the premiere of Doctor Who, the new Doctor Who with Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. And it's like, oh, they're simulcasting it around the world at the same time. Awesome. I'll finally watch, and I'm tipping my hand here, I'll finally watch it on BBC America because, like, when the 50th anniversary special aired, there were no commercials.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm like, oh, that's so exciting. Dude, there were commercials.
Oh.
And let me tell you something. I don't know how people watch Doctor Who on BBC America. It was not made, nor was it cut, nor was it edited to ever have commercials in it because BBC America is basically like the publicly funded network,
right,
so advertising doesn't come into play in Britain.
But for BBC America,
it's a for-profit channel.
It's a cable channel, yeah.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, man, it is so disruptive for me. It actually altered my experience, not because I was pissed off about the commercials, but there were so many commercials, like Denise's comment, because she was in the room watching it with me, sort of. She was in the room anyway. Her comment was, this is so boring. I don't think I like the new Doctor. And I almost had to agree with her until I watched it the way that people saw it in the BBC, at which point it was a much more engaging story because it was I was traversing it the way they intended, and I was going through the momentum as it would be good. And holy moly, man, it was a totally different experience. And I got to say, my wife technically hasn't been very receptive of a new Doctor since Matt Smith. And I know some people are the same way about Tennant, but I have to say that Jodie Whittaker's take on the Doctor, I have in this first episode anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought that, it's always weird with that first episode because they're fresh off the regeneration train.
Right. Yeah. And totally. And you're trying to see like, how's the continuity gap bridged between these two actors.
Yeah, and well, in that one, actually, like after Capaldi became Whittaker, there was a whole scene, and once again, for some reason, the TARDIS is exploding and throwing the Doctor out, and we see the Doctor falling to Earth. And dude, they didn't even hide it. It wasn't like, oh, she got rescued this way, the TARDIS showed up and helped her back down. No, she just straight up fell into like one scene of the episode. That's how the Doctor was introduced, falling from that great height down to something. At which point, you're like, well, basically the Doctor is a space wizard, so it's okay.
Right, yeah. And when you don't know the answer, a wizard did it.
Exactly. All right, Trent. This is the final moment of the program because we always have to do this, and I have to say this because not because I want to. I know you want me to say it because I want to, Trent. But I have to say it because now is the time if you're going to act. If you're not going to act, then you don't need to listen to the words I'm about to say. But I will tell you, it's important to act now because the 19th of the month is quickly coming upon us. And that means that the Loot Crate is going to be timing out on you.
Buddy.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to get the Loot Crate anymore, and we know you want to get the Loot Crate. This month's theme is cursed. It's got items featured from, well, I know at least from Gremlins, although I don't really view them as being cursed.
I do. Well, the curse of the gremlin, right? Like,
I guess.
Of the Mogwai, yeah.
And something from
Joe Dante, one of my favorite directors.
There you go. And something from, I think, American Horror Story, which is a big thing for the kiddies. But I put off, as always, Trent, I do this every time. I put off opening my Loot Crate until I'm with you. So this is September's crate that we're about to go through.
Yeah.
And let me hear you. Now we've got the picture-in-picture. You can see it, and the people can see it. We have the height of technology here. Although I am not the microphone that you are talking into like people want it. So the important thing to remember about Loot Crate, you always get a pin, you always get a T-shirt, and then there's other items. So last month's crate, once again, I don't know what the theme is. But I can definitely tell you that maybe it was Alien, because I see an alien on the inside of the box. Looks like a Venom T-shirt.
Ooh.
Right?
Oh, it is Venom, yeah.
The Rick and Morty portal gun T-shirt I'm wearing, I got from Loot Crate. Almost every episode of NetHeads, the T-shirt I'm wearing came from Loot Crate. Or Trent's closet, don't ask.
Yeah.
We've got an adult collectible, not a toy, and also not dildonic. Chill out.
Yeah, sure, right.
I don't know what it is, though. Is it a figure or something? It says out for a walk, and there's an alien walking a face hugger with its urinating acid onto but I don't know what's in there. And like when I did the unboxing video for the robot, I had already cut open all these stupid safety seals so I could just open the box.
Yeah.
Much in the same way that in Elf you have to open up that Pop-Tart container. Yeah, it's a standing figure thing of that scene I showed you. That's kind of cool.
Nice.
What else we got in here? We got the T-shirt. We got that. What is this? I don't know. It's a piece of camouflage in a bag. This is not a very good description item. Let's see what we got here. It is a Predator bandana.
Oh, hell yeah. I ain't got time to bleed.
He dug in there deeper than an Alabama tick. Okay,
This stuff will make you a sexual tyrannosaur.
Okay, so how is it a Predator one, though? Is it
it's the Predator is on the top.
Oh, he's on it. He's on the pattern.
Yeah, he's
okay.
right there, yeah.
Now I get
it. And he's part of the
camouflage.
Because he himself can camouflage, yeah.
There you go. Thank you for explaining it for me like I'm a dummy. Here we go. A little something for the X-Files people out there. It's a little tiny X-Files notebook. So you could, and see, the truth is I want to believe.
Yes.
And lastly, of course, the loot pin. And actually, this one's kind of cool. It's an alien facehugger loot pin. So
nice.
Yeah, lapel pins are big. I don't know if you noticed, like in one of his, in a lot of his later shots, like Kevin even has his.
He's got the Smoking Redskin version or Red Hawks.
Black Hawks. So one
of
them.
Can we say that?
Yeah, it's okay, man. Anyway, don't forget, you can go to netheadsonair.com.
Black Hawks.
Yeah. You can. I don't know what you thought I said. Just this is the point where we don't talk about it anymore, dude.
Black
Stop.
Hawks. Okay, I thought.
Oh, you said no. There was no C involved. Don't forget, you have until the 19th at 9 p.m. to sign up for Loot Crate. Go to netheadsonair.com. Get a discount on your crate. Take advantage of it. I gotta tell you, it's like all of the fun things in my office, all the shit you see behind me. Sure. The 19th at 9 p.m. to sign up for Loot Crate. Oh, why am I suddenly hearing myself? Get a discount on your crate. There, let's mute that. And the beauty is, I always cut those things out from the podcast, so you never hear them. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Go to netheadsonair.com. Get a discount. All of the cool stuff you see behind me, typically on an episode of NetHeads, is from
It's come from the Loot Crate.
Yeah, it has. My T-shirts, they come from Loot Crate. As a matter of fact, I should take a picture before the next episode, Trent, or next installment, because, oh, look, Vector's walking around again. There he is, right in the camera's face. He's not afraid of the camera, Trent. He is not camera shy.
Vector?
That's kind of what he sounds like. I wish you could hear him. Next time we'll have to give him a mic, too. What was I saying? Oh, I should take a picture of my closet because there is literally, I don't know if you're supposed to or not. I like to hang up my T-shirts. It's easier to go through them, and I got so many of them. But it's like an entire section of my closet, at least 3 to 4 feet of closet rod is just T-shirts.
T-shirts. Yeah.
I don't think I need any T-shirts anymore in life.
Yeah, but don't we all? I don't know what that means.
Well, yeah, apparently. I mean, I bought a box of your old shirts, and I don't even wear them. I just cuddle with them.
Yeah.
As one would expect, right? Oh, I'm sorry. They get a little awkward. I apologize.
No, it's fine.
We always end awkward. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Anyway, folks, thank you for tuning in and thank you for joining us this time. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I enjoyed the conversation with my good friend Trent. You can follow him on Twitter via a part of him. You can find him on the Facebooks. You can also read his articles at smodcast.com. I am Nethead WW. The show is Netheads on Air. And until next time, folks, we'll be back
soon.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. Signing off. I know, right? But stop being a little Nancy and deal with it. NetHeads. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a production of Smodco Internet Radio. Sir, only at smodcast.com.
That was really fun to watch until the eventual, tissue needing of your drainage there.
Yeah, like the offbeat hop. I was like, this is hurty.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Why am I doing this to myself? Why?
I just wanted to dance and my nose hurts.
Oh, I just want to get my freaky dicky on.
Whoops.